I'm a simple man, don't wanna complicate ya, complicate ya. I'm a simple man, don't wanna complicate ya.
Hey guys, here I am looking like holy hell, but you're just gonna have to deal with it because I'm just too damn exhausted to put my makeup on. So this is me, all red and frizzy haired, whatever. So just before I start this video, I want to let you guys know that I am going to be cross-posting this to both my channels, both Wildflower Runner and Tomato Plants and Beer. And there is a reason for that. We have a hurricane. Florence is barreling straight for my state. Now, I am inland. I am in the Raleigh-Durham area. And so, basically, we're not at the coast. So, we've at least got that much going for us. Unfortunately, we are in an area where, while we're not going to be catching a full-on Cat 4, we are probably going to be catching a Cat 2. Things are still really uncertain right now. I watched the news broadcast earlier, and they don't have any clue. They have no clue. They don't know where it's going. They don't know how fast it's going. They don't know what's going to change. They really don't know any of this stuff. So we don't really know exactly how bad it's going to be. We've got like a spread. I think when they were talking about the rain, because right now what they're worried about with us is the rain, because apparently the hurricane is going to come in, and again, this is something they're unsure about. The hurricane is going to come in and it is going to stall out, and it is going to sit over us and just dump oodles and oodles and oodles of rain. The problem is that they don't know exactly where it's going to stall out. And like the weather people keep saying, somebody is going to get a heck of a lot of water. It keeps changing. There was a period of time where they believed it was actually going to be directly over where I live. Okay, right over my county. And that stayed like that for a couple of days. So we were really kind of getting nervous because it was really just sitting right over where I live. Now it seems to be a little bit more southeast from us. Not terribly further southeast, though. That's the problem. It does look like where I'm personally living, I'm like right on the edge. And again, it keeps shifting because sometimes it's like way down, and then other times they bring it back up again, and it's kind of sitting right next to us, and I'm right at the line where it could be either 5 to 10 or 10 to 15 inches of rain. So that's where I'm at right now. It has been a heck of a week. I am trying to get, pretty much I'm trying to go out into my yard and I'm trying to collect everything that could be used as a projectile. And we are trying to secure it or bring it in the house, whatever we have to do. There are certain things that we just cannot bring in the house. Things that have been sitting out in my garden all summer cannot come in the house because God only knows what is living in them. So I can't bring any of that stuff in the house because there's probably all kinds of bugs and frogs and snakes and God knows what else, and I don't want that in my house. I am not in a floodplain, so that's a good thing. Depending on how much rain we get, though, I'm not sure how much that's going to matter. Now, my house sits a little high. Okay, we do have a problem. I will tell you this. While we don't live in a floodplain, my backyard floods when we have a thunderstorm. This is not a thunderstorm. This is a hurricane. So we did make it through Hurricane Matthew 2 years ago. The issue that we had there was that part of our yard flooded and then rushed forward. We didn't have any issues with the actual house. Like there was no foundation problems. There was no trees down on our property, things like that. We had people in our general vicinity, though, who did have major flooding and trees down for Matthew. Florence is so much worse than Matthew, so I'm not really sure what to expect. I'm kind of like sitting down and trying to be all like analytical about it and everything. That part of it is pretty much a given. We know our yard is going to flood because it just does. It just floods all the time. We have like a French drain system that's supposed to create a river that goes through, and it goes all the way down, and it drops off like on the other cul-de-sac where there's like a drainage system. The problem is that one of our neighbors used to have like a previous neighbor put this in. It was like a stream, like a fake stream in their yard. I know it sounds kind of weird. I don't know how to explain it. It was actually very pretty. But she built it on the French drain, and it actually flowed perfectly because it would let off into her little stream, which would dump on the other side, and it would just continue going, and it moved perfectly fine. When she sold the house, she sold it to our current neighbors who have children, and she found that her kids were trying swimming in this thing when she wasn't looking. And because she was afraid of drowning, she removed the fake stream. The problem is that it broke up the French drain. Unfortunately, that means that the water stops at her fence, which means that my backyard floods. So my entire neighborhood's runoff from their backyards actually collects in my backyard. It moves forward towards the front of the house. Now, like I said, my house sits up high, so like if our backyard floods, it's not like gonna come in the back door because the back door is nowhere near the ground. So it's it would have to be like super high, and at that point we would have to evacuate. If it was that high, they would be evacuating us. So that's not going to happen. The water's going to flood down. My fear is it getting into our crawl space, but the water is going to flow down. It's going to end up out in the street, where the street is also angled down into a center area that pushes it into the drainage system. It's laid out fairly well, but we do collect an awful lot of water around here. We still don't usually have an issue with flooding, so we're not on a floodplain, but again, with the amount of water they're talking about coming down, who the hell knows? I mean, really, just who the hell knows? Winds, I don't know how bad the winds are going to be. It's been back and forth. The issue that we're having right now is that it has been raining for days. We had a really big thunderstorm yesterday. We had a really big thunderstorm today. The ground is soft and mushy and wet and muddy and gross, which means that we are going to have more down trees than we would have if the ground had been drier. Unfortunately, in North Carolina, it is feast or famine. It is either not raining at all and we're in drought conditions, or it is raining constantly and we're all building arks. So that's pretty much how it is. So unfortunately, what this all means is that I don't really know what the outcome of this is going to be. I don't know if we're going to pull out of this really well, or if this is going to just be a humongous crap storm. If it is a humongous crap storm, you guys will know because you'll see it on the news, and I won't post videos on any of my channels for quite a while. 100% sure we're losing power. Okay, I can guarantee we are going to lose power. I have seen them say we could lose power for up to a couple of days, we could lose power for up to a month. I do not think that where I live personally, we are going to lose power for a month. I'm actually on the same power grid as the City Hall, Police Department, Fire Department, and EMTs. So usually when there's a power outage, our area gets the power back first because they're trying to get that grid back up, because obviously first responders and things like that. So we usually end up getting our power back a lot faster than everybody else, but again, I don't know what that's going to mean, and I don't know if that's going to hold true, because it's been a while since we had a power outage, and at least a major power outage, and this area looks a lot different than it used to. There are a lot more people, there are a lot more homes. I don't even know what to think about it. In the meantime, there is no water anywhere in the state. I mean, if you try to buy bottled water, if you didn't get it last week, you're not getting it. There's very little non-perishables. There are stupid people who are buying perishables. Seriously, guys, I went to the grocery store yesterday. You're not even going to believe this. I went to the grocery store yesterday, and there were plenty of people there. It wasn't jam-packed, but there was a hell of a lot more people than there usually are. And I was just kind of... I needed paper towels and plastic silverware. That was generally really all I needed. So I went in to get my, plastic silverware and my paper towels. And I'm looking at people coming by with their carts. And there's people coming by with their carts are full. I mean, they are full. I saw a couple people dragging multiple carts. Just to give you an idea, I saw a woman running down the aisle, pushing a cart and pulling one behind her. And they were both full. Nothing in her cart was hurricane appropriate. She was freaking out too bad for me to actually say anything to her, and she probably would have argued with me anyway. The problem is that because the power is going to go out, if you have stuff that needs to be refrigerated, you're going to lose it. You're going to lose it. It's not going to be edible. And the amount of frozen pizzas that I saw leaving the grocery store yesterday was absolutely insane. That lady alone had like 10 of them. Just to give you an idea, she had like 10 frozen pizzas. They're frozen pizzas. It's hot outside. This was an ice storm. Okay, if we were having an ice storm, we had an ice storm, big ice storm when I first moved down here. And people were out of power for like weeks. Now, you're okay in that situation because you can take your frozen goods and put them out in the back porch and they'll be fine. Okay, but this is September in North Carolina. It is still in the 90s here. You're not taking your frozen goods and putting them out on the back porch. It's just not going to happen. So those 10 frozen pizzas she bought are going to be pretty useless. Okay? There's a lot of people who have decided that they want French toast and or milk sandwiches. Milk and eggs are not going to last because they have to be refrigerated. So a lot of people leaving with ice cream and yogurt and frozen vegetables and frozen dinners and things like that. When you are going into a hurricane where you absolutely know, like we do, that you're going to lose power, you get non-perishables. Non-perishables. You go and you get canned vegetables, you get canned soups, things that you can eat cold, and things that you pretty much don't have to put in the refrigerator. Anything that you would put in your pantry is the stuff that you should be buying. Like I said, you know, canned vegetables. I think you can get canned fruits as well. You can get canned soups. You can get peanut butter. There's all kinds of great stuff that you can get that you can live on for, you know, a week or two if you have to. You're not going to survive on ice cream and frozen pizzas when your refrigerator is not running. So don't buy perishables. Hello. I have also noticed that people are getting jerky, to say the least. Now, as you guys know, I deliver for a couple of the app delivery services, usually Uber Eats and Grubhub. And I actually have blocks for Grubhub this week, which is unusual. But I didn't realize when I set the blocks that we were going to get slammed by a Cat 4. So I have blocks scheduled all week, and I worked yesterday and I worked today. Today was so bad on the roads that I actually had to drop my final block and just go home because I was afraid I was going to die. I literally was afraid I was going to die. I would drive past gas stations, and some of the major gas stations still had gas. The smaller gas stations were completely out, and they just had bags over all their gas pumps and everything. But there were a couple of gas stations, usually like Sheetz gas stations, that still had gas. And the lines at some of them were like a mile long, literally a mile long, just to get to the gas pumps. And I don't know what people were thinking. I don't know if they thought they were going to make the line move faster, if they thought they were going to get ahead faster, or what they thought. But I actually watched people get out of their cars and try to drag other people out of their cars. I was watching fights break out. I was watching people trying to make a turn, have somebody jump out of the car behind them and come over and try to punch their windows out and things like that. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, what exactly are you accomplishing by doing this? You're not going to go any faster. You're not making the situation any better. And you're just being crazy. On top of all that, people were driving erratically. I had a guy, I was on a little narrow 2-lane road, okay? And this guy was in front of me, and I have video of this that I put on another channel, and I'll probably feed it in here. But he put on his blinker, he put on his left turn hand, he turned on his left turn signal. He approached a left turn lane at a green light. It looked like he was going to get into the turn lane, and it just so happened that I was getting into the same turn lane, so I was right behind him, and he started to move over, and I started to move over, and then out of the blue, he just whipped a U-turn. Just right in the middle of the road, right through traffic. And I'm like, you could have gone and made the left-hand turn. You could have turned onto that road and then turned yourself around and gotten back on the road. And that would have been so much safer, but no, no. And then there was yesterday. Oh, there are so many people that are lucky that I was not with my mother yesterday, because my mother went to her water aerobics class as usual yesterday morning, and she decided on the way home she was going to stop at Costco and she was going to get gas. So she pulled in, she waited in line, she had to wait about 20 minutes in line at Costco. She managed to fill up her tank. Her car proceeded to die at that point. She went to pull out and the car just shut off. It was dead. A couple of the attendants helped to get her car to a certain point, but they actually weren't allowed to pass a certain threshold, so they kind of had to just dump her car right there. So she was out of the way. She was completely out of the way, but she was not in a good spot. Okay, she was at a parking spot, but she wasn't really in the parking spot. She was sticking out of it a little. My mother is almost 70 years old, and she has spinal stenosis, which means that she has an extremely weak back. Okay, her doctor has suggested that she get a wheelchair, we'll put it that way. She refuses to get one, and I don't blame her, because I would want to stay mobile for as long as I possibly could as well. But that's the point that she's at. Now, my mom drives a Miata, so it is a small car, it's a roller skate, and it really doesn't matter, because even though the car is small, there's no possible way she is going to push it, because she is a 70-year-old woman, or almost 70-year-old woman, who is at least mildly handicapped. She's not pushing the car. It's not happening. She's not pushing the car. She had so many people that got absolutely enraged. Okay, now she was parked in a parking spot that was over by a restaurant. She wasn't even in the main Costco parking lot. And people were getting angry at her because she was taking up the parking spot. She had two guys that got really, really angry about the situation. They jumped out of their car and attacked her car. They beat up my mother's car. Now, all they accomplished was they actually shoved her car all the way back into the parking spot. There's not a whole lot of damage or anything like that, but it scared the hell out of my mother. I mean, you know, as you would imagine, it scared the hell out of my mother. She spent 3 hours waiting for a tow truck. And during those 3 hours, she couldn't leave her car because the windows were rolled down and all that stuff. And she had people giving her dirty looks because she was taking the parking spot for too long. She wasn't positioned the way they thought she should be positioned. And they really thought that she should push her car out of the parking lot to get out of everybody else's way. Which is all perfectly well and good. Now, if my mom was able-bodied, there still wasn't any place for her to push it, because the Costco is off the side of a highway. Okay, so what is she supposed to do? Push it onto the highway? Or there is a little heavily traveled back road that does not have shoulders. Was she supposed to push it out into the lane? Where was she supposed to push the car? Can somebody answer me that question? Where was she supposed to move the car while she's waiting for the tow truck? But she had a lot of people that had something to say to her. She got cursed out several times. She got a few death threats. She had those two guys that attacked her car. She had several people who came over and started leaning on their horn trying to get her to get out of the parking spot. There was a lot of crap that went on yesterday, and it was all because people needed to get into the store and buy perishable food and toilet paper. You sat there and scared the crap out of an older handicapped lady for toilet paper. Congratulations. Do you feel like a big person now? Did that make you feel better? Do you feel tough? Do you feel strong? Does that make you feel like a man? Do you feel good about that? Really, I mean, do you feel good about it? Did you go home and sleep really well that night? Because you shouldn't have. I was kind of upset at my mom for it too, because I had talked to her on the phone and all, and I knew she was there, but I was going to work, and she kept telling me, oh no, the tow truck's on its way, it's fine. I had no idea until later yesterday that my mom sat out there for 3 hours. in 95-degree weather in a car that didn't have air conditioning, and she couldn't go in any place that had air conditioning, so she was sitting out there sweating her butt off. And she was dealing with a-holes, pretty much, just raging a-holes. And if I had known, I would have gone out there and I would have sat with her. And I would have had a few things to say to anybody who tried to move her. Because that's the kind of gal I am. What can I tell you? But we need to get to a point where we understand that we are not the only person in the world. Everybody's scared. Okay? Everybody in North Carolina right now is bloody terrified. Okay? Everyone is scared. We're terrified. Okay? Nobody knows where this thing is going. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows how bad it's going to be. Everybody is afraid of losing everything they own. Everybody is afraid of losing family members and pets. Or dying themselves. I mean, it's a major hurricane that's coming in. We are all scared. All of us. We're all scared. And in a perfect world, we should be coming together as fellow countrymen and fellow statesmen, and we should be helping each other out. We should be brothers and sisters right now. We should be together. We should be helping each other out. We should be checking on each other. We should be making sure that our neighbors are okay. But instead, we are scaring old ladies in a Costco parking lot. Folks, we got a lot of work to do. We got an awful lot of work to do. And I'm at a point where I'm wondering to myself, I hear people say all the time, why are we so divided? Why are we in such a state? This is why. Because we can't see past our own faces. You aren't the only one who's scared. You aren't the only one who's facing possible catastrophe. You're not. And we need to stop acting like this. We need to stop abusing each other. And we need to start actually treating each other like fellow countrymen. We need to start taking care of each other. And we need to stop being jerks. This is the perfect time to stand up and show who you really are. Unfortunately, you are showing who you really are. And that's something you need to evaluate. Once we can evaluate that and we can fix that situation, we always see images of the aftermath of hurricanes. Okay, we saw it last year with Irma, Harvey, Maria, all of them. We saw the aftermath, people wading through water to rescue people and things like that. What we never talk about, and we really need to, is before the hurricane, when everybody's being an a-hole to each other, when we're beating each other up in gas stations, when we're fighting with people over the last bottle of Perrier in the grocery store, when we are screaming and hollering at the staff at a gas station because they ran out of gas and they ran out of water and they ran out of beer. This is the kind of thing that we really need to talk about. Yeah, definitely show all of the images of people helping each other out after the storm. But maybe it's time we start showing the images of people being a-holes to each other before the storm. Let's face it head on. Let's admit that we have a problem. And then let's fix it. Anyway, guys, I'm going to end this video right now. I want to let you know that this was happening because obviously, for both my channels, I'm trying to actually revive my channels. Because I know they're kind of dead. I'm trying to revive them. And this is kind of put a damper on that. So I wanted to let you know why exactly I'm going to disappear for, I don't know, depending on who you hear, 3 days to a month. Who knows? It's kind of like we could get 5 to 20 inches of rain. I don't know. But anyway, you know where I'm at, and I will do my best to let you guys know how things are going. I am not going to give you a Twitter link or a Facebook link or anything like that to follow updates on because I am not going to be updating. The reason I'm not going to be updating is because I have a smartphone and the battery dies in 24 hours. So the honest to God reason I'm not going to do any updates is because I'm going to be trying like hell to conserve my battery for as long as I possibly can in case there is an emergency. Now, I have a solar-powered battery charger that's supposed to get here tomorrow, but I just don't know if it's actually going to arrive or not. And if it's not, well, then I'm going to be conserving my battery. Either way, I'm going to be conserving battery, so I will return when the lights go back on. How's that? We'll go there. And again, there's a lot of uncertainty there. Don't know when that's going to be, but I will come back when the lights do. I will see you guys on the flip side of the eye.